I never thought that I would end up in this situation. I, 29M, just messed up my relationship with my girlfriend Sarah, 28F, and I don't know what to do. It all began when Sarah and I first started dating when I was in college. She was beautiful, smart, charming, and kind. We met at a part of a mutual friend, and from the moment we had our first conversation, I was captivated by her charm. We quickly became inseparable, and in just a few weeks, we were a couple. While everything was going well with us, one person never approved of our relationship, my mother Evelyn, 57F. She constantly warned me against Sarah and called her a gold digger behind her back. Now, I am not from a rich family, but my parents do have a few investments. I myself work as a software engineer at a big company, and Sarah is a marketing executive. So, I obviously dismissed my mom's concerns and thought she was just being overprotective. Sarah never asked me for expensive gifts, and we would often share bills. Even though I never told Sarah about what my mother thought, I think she might have known. There was always tension whenever we visited my mom or when she came to our place. At first, my mom's warning signs were subtle. She would make remarks like, "Is Sarah really the right one for you? And are you sure she's not just after your money?" At family gatherings, she would avoid Sarah and even exclude her from conversations. Every time I bought something for her, or even when I did small things for her, my mom would make a point to go out of my way to let me know about her disapproval. It was clear that she didn't want Sarah to be a part of our lives. Sarah was patient and understanding and tried her best to mend the relationship between her and my mom. She would try to engage in conversations with her, help with the household chores, and even help me plan a surprise party for her birthday. But nothing seemed to work, and my mom's disapproval didn't go away. As time passed, my mom kept persistently warning me about my girlfriend and claimed that Sarah was after my money and my family's wealth. She would say things like girls like her manipulate guys like me to sustain their lifestyle. Even though I brushed off all these allegations from my mom, but it did certainly plant a seed of doubt in my mind, and I started overanalyzing everything. Now every time I had to pay, I would start keeping tabs, which I had never done before. I started noting every time I paid for dinner and every time she did, how much each one paid for when we ordered takeout, how much we were spending on each other, etc. I am not a big spender, and I like to save money for emergencies and other expenses. Sarah, on the other hand, likes to spend money on expensive things and is always buying new shoes, bags, and dresses. When Sarah and I moved in together a few months back, we agreed to share the bills and rent 50-50. We shopped together for our house and brought everything from a bed to cutlery. However, the one thing I didn't share with Sarah was that I always keep some money hidden inside the house. Nothing too much, around $3,000 in the case of emergencies. Only my mom and I know about this and where I hide it. I didn't intend to hide it from Sarah, but I just didn't think that it was important to know each and every aspect of my finances. 2 weeks ago, my mom came to live with us for a few days as my dad was out of town and she wanted to have some company. I came home early from work and found my mom all frantic. I asked her what had happened, and she grabbed my arm and rushed me to my room. She opened my closet and pulled out the shoebox where I put my cash, and I was shocked to find that the money was gone. All that money was gone, and I was so confused. She told me that she was organizing my closet when she found the empty shoebox, and she was sure that Sarah had taken her. I already had the seed of doubt in my mind, and I remembered that Sarah had bought a few expensive purses a couple of days back. When Sarah came home from work, I confronted her about the money, but she said that she didn't know anything about it. She said that she didn't even know that there was money in the shoebox. I was frustrated, and I told her that I didn't believe her, and I knew that she had expensive tastes, and since she was the only one living here with me, only she could have taken my money. We got into a heated argument and Sarah left to stay with her friends. Everything happened so fast. Later, when I had cooled down, I realized that there was something off about the whole situation and tried talking to her, but she didn't respond to any of my texts and phone calls. About a week ago, I came home and found that Sarah had taken all of her stuff when I was at the office. I visited my mom and dad this last weekend, and this is when everything cleared up. Apparently, the reason why my mom had visited me was not because dad was out of town, it was because they fought. Apparently, my mom had almost emptied out all of their retirement money for an investment that ended up being a pyramid scheme, and she lost all of it. She had been transferring money from the account for years, leaving my dad completely in the dark. I was so shocked and disgusted by the news. My mom was the one who had accused Sarah of being a gold digger, but it turned out that she was the real culprit. She had been embezzling money from my parents, all while pretending that she was concerned about Sarah's intentions. I talked to my dad and he told me that he had no idea about this. He hadn't checked that account for a while now, and when he did, he confronted my mom and everything came out. He told her that he needed some space for her, and that's why mom came to my place. And even they are trying to figure out what they are going to do. I told him about what had happened with Sarah and he almost smacked me. He asked me if I had any proof or even some prior behavior that would suggest that she would do something like this. I couldn't answer it. After contemplating for a while, I went to my mom and asked her about the truth behind my missing funds. At first, she continued to deny everything and kept telling me that it was Sarah and she had nothing to do with that. But after I confronted her again, she told me that she was the one who took the money because she had taken on some debt and had to pay it off. I was livid and started crying. I couldn't believe that my mom had not only caused so much harm to our family as well as my relationship. I know that I am also at fault here, but she made me believe that she was protecting me and safeguarding my future. While she was claiming that she wanted the best for me, she was stealing from my dad and me. She was telling me that Sarah was a gold digger, and I could not believe the hypocrisy of it all. I shouldn't have believed my mom and shouldn't have blindly trusted her. Now I have lost Sarah, and I don't know what to do. And yeah, I already know I was the biggest for not believing her in the first place. Update 1. I wanted to make things right with Sarah. I couldn't bear the thought of losing her, especially after my family had just broken up. I was overcome with guilt and shame over how I had treated her. So, I decided to call her. I sent her a long message apologizing for what I had done and explaining to her about my mother. I told her in the message that she meant a lot to me and I know that I have made a big mistake, but if she was willing to give me a second chance, I would not let her down. However, she replied to me saying that she has moved on and it's best for both of us. I was heartbroken when I saw that message, but I respected that decision. I knew that I had hurt her deeply, and I couldn't expect her to forgive me instantly. But I didn't want to give up. Over the next few days, I sent her a few more messages and shared all my feelings and regrets. I told her that I understood if she needed time and I would wait for as long as she wanted me to. She would say things like even though she appreciated my words, she needed some time. I don't know what the future holds for us. I am trying to just focus on work and I distract myself until I know what I can do to win Sarah back. I am ashamed of my actions and how I blindly trusted my mom, but I am feeling really lost right now. Update 2. I wrote this story to vent about my life and to get some help on how to mend my relationship, but it seems like everyone here has formed an opinion about me and my actions. People are here blaming me for not trusting Sarah from the beginning and accusing me of being naive, gullible, and a mama's boy. It's a little hard not to take these harsh judgments to be heard as I have already acknowledged that I made a mistake and have apologized to Sarah multiple times. It's not easy to go against your parents when you have spent your whole life relying on them and trusting them. All my life, I have trusted my parents, and when my mother warned me about Sarah, even though I didn't believe it in my heart, it was left somewhere in the back of my head. Her accusations created a wedge between us. Yes, I should have trusted her. Yes, I should have been better at handling the whole situation. But because of the tangled emotions and my mother's influence, me making a big mistake in my life. I admit my mistake and I am trying to make amends for my actions. I hope Sarah can see the efforts I am making and consider giving our relationship a second chance. Update 3. My parents' relationship is completely over. My dad has filed for a divorce and left our family home. The situation with them has become very hostile and their relationship is very bitter at the moment. He showed up at my home a couple of days ago and told me that he had decided to leave my mom and wanted some distance and space during this time. I was more than happy to provide that support to him and told him that I was going to be there for him financially and emotionally. I know that this was a very challenging decision for my dad. I am not sure if he would be able to recover any of that money, but at least he can work on rebuilding his financial stability. He owns a few properties around town and has his own small pool construction office. Thankfully, he will be fine and I hope that he can move on with his life. As for my mom, I haven't had any contact with her. She has tried to reach out to me and has been calling and texting me for weeks. She has even gotten some of my friends and family members to let me know that she just wants to talk to me, but I am not ready to listen to her side of the story yet. I am still dealing with the betrayal I have felt. I am not going to file any complaint against her for the money that she stole from me. Even with everything, she is still my mom and I don't feel like taking her to court for some money. However, regarding our personal relationship, I am keeping my space for a while. The one thing that has gotten better after this whole fiasco is my relationship with my dad. The temporary living arrangement has helped me reconnect with him. We often go out for beer and talk about what a mess we have found ourselves into. I also talk to him about my relationship with Sarah and everything that I am going through. Update 4. Sarah finally called me back. She said that she was ready to talk and we met at a cafe. The first thing I did was apologize for the way I acted. I told her that even though my mom was the one who manipulated the situation, I was the one who was supposed to be blamed for everything. I should have trusted her and shouldn't have handled the situation the way I did. She explained to me how hurt she was, and after so many years of being together, it was really humiliating for her to be accused of something like that. I told her that I understood how she had been feeling and that if there was anything I could do to make up for this, I would gladly do it. After a few more discussions, she explained to me that there was only way that she would be even willing to give us a chance. She said that she wanted us to go to couples counseling for a while and then decide if we were going to be in a relationship again. I immediately said yes, as I wanted to do anything and everything to let her know that I was all in. We had our first session a couple of days ago and we have a long way to go. Hopefully, I can prove to Sarah that she is the most important person in my life and I trust her all the way. We have had a few counseling sessions so far and they have been really good. We are talking more openly and she is able to express herself better. I am also opening up more and getting a better understanding of why I did what I did. I have also been hurt by everything that has happened. The big betrayal from my mom has completely shattered me and I need to work on healing myself. Update 5. My mom has gone completely crazy. After my dad filed for divorce, she has been hounding him and me all the time. She kept texting us and calling us relentlessly and even showed up at my house multiple times. 2 days ago, she came to my house at around 9 p.m. I told her that dad didn't want to see her, but she pushed me aside and came inside my home. She and my dad got into a very heated argument. My mom was telling me that he should just get over it as the money is gone and there is no way that he is getting it back. She kept yelling at him for making a big deal over money. She said that they have been married for over 30 years and it is stupid to let that go over such a small issue. My dad was so flabbergasted at the audacity of my mom to call this a small issue. He yelled at her, telling her that she has taken away their future, and the fact that she doesn't even understand the extent of her mistake and hasn't apologized even once just shows how delusional she is. This broke my mother and she started crying immediately. She told him that she was sorry for what she did and that she was only trying to better their future as she believed that her investments would increase their money. She said that she loves him and doesn't want to spend the remaining years of her life away from him. But my dad wasn't taking it and he told her how are we supposed to live together when she had thrown away their future just because of her greed. He couldn't even believe that she would have the audacity to steal from her own son and then blame his girlfriend for it. She continued crying and begging, but my dad wasn't having it at all. He told her that if she didn't leave the house immediately, he was going to call the cops. My mom had no other option but to leave. I didn't want to get in the middle of it so I didn't say anything, but I understand where my mom is coming from. Yesterday, she showed up at our door again with my dad's sister. As it turns out, the two had been talking for a while and for some reason, my aunt thinks that my parents can still work out their relationship. They talked for hours and mom told me everything that she did with the money, like investing in scams, buying stock from pyramid schemes, loaning money to her friends, and more. I am kinda surprised that my dad didn't know about any of this. My mom kept apologizing over and over again, promising him that she wouldn't make this mistake ever again. My dad says that he needs some time to think about it. Today, she came to my office and demanded that she wanted to talk to me. I was so angry because she knew that I didn't want her making a scene at my office and would have no other option than to trust her. I took her to a nearby cafe to talk. She started by apologizing for what she had done and she just wanted to protect me. She had noticed some things in Sarah that made her believe that she was after my money. All her expensive purses, clothes, and habits made her look like a gold digger to my mom. I explained to my mom that, yes, she likes expensive things but she has never once asked me to pay for anything. Anything that I have ever bought for her has been for love and not because of demand. My mom said that she made a mistake and she is willing to apologize to Sarah if that's what I wanted her. I made her understand that I don't want her anywhere near Sarah until she is ready to talk to her. I also asked her what she did with the money she stole from me and she said that she needed to make a monthly payment for an investment she was making, which doesn't even make sense to me. I told her to gather all the documents she has regarding these investments and I will come to our family home to check them out. She started acting dodgy immediately and said that I didn't have to do that and she was going to put a stop to these investments immediately. I asked her bluntly if she was still hiding something from us and she kept saying no. She just doesn't want to drag this thing out and put the whole situation behind us as soon as we can. I told her that if she wanted to put this thing behind us, she needed to open up and tell the truth. She made me promise that what she was going to tell me should be kept between us and I won't tell it to my dad. I made it clear to her that I was not hiding anything from my dad and if she is still acting this way, I don't want any part in it and I left the office. Update 6. After all the heartache, talking, and counseling sessions, Sarah and I have finally found our way back to each other. Our journey wasn't easy, but we have managed to make things right. The counseling sessions have provided a space safe for us to work through our issues, express our feelings, and communicate openly. Sarah told me how hurt she felt because of my actions and I admitted to my misguided trust in my mom. Confronting all those painful moments wasn't easy, but we were able to do it. I have also started therapy for myself to work on my personal issues. There are a lot of things that I have to work on. A few days ago, I decided that it was right to take our relationship to the next level and I proposed to Sarah in a restaurant where we had our first date. I know that she is the love of my life and I can't imagine a future without her by my side. She said yes and now we are eagerly planning our wedding. My dad is going forward with the divorce and he wants nothing to do with my mom. I have also distanced myself from her and refused any form of contact. Needless to say, my mom won't be invited. Update 7. So a lot has happened. The truth about my mom has finally come out. For the past 10 years, she has taken money from their joint accounts and claimed that she lost it all on investments. But my dad recently found out that my mom is not just a gold digger, but also a cheater. So, the investments that she said she lost the money on weren't investments but were the love affairs she had with multiple men. Apparently, my mom has a thing for younger guys and she likes to spend money on them. She takes them on trips, buys them clothes, and even pays their bills at times. This was a shocking revelation for my dad and one can't even begin to describe what I am feeling at the moment. I am disgusted by her behavior and how she has betrayed my dad and our family. Not only has she stolen from my dad and me, but she has also destroyed our family. While I am not planning to file a complaint against her for stealing my money, my dad is thinking about suing her. The only thing that is stopping him is the fact that he doesn't think that he will be able to recover the money he has lost and will just end up dragging this whole mess for absolutely no reason. My dad is waiting to get his divorce finalized. He has moved out of my house and is currently renting a studio apartment near his business. And he even went on a date this last Sunday with a woman he did some work for. I am glad that he hasn't turned his back on love and is still willing to put it all on the line. As for Sarah and I, we are doing so well now and are planning our wedding. With everything going on in my life, she has stood right by my side, holding my hand and being my pillar. We are still doing counseling, but the number of sessions has reduced. We are now closer than ever and can't wait to start our life together. Now on to the next story. Story 2. Caught my GF doing this with her app at a friend's wedding, so I exposed her and now she's a wreck. So, about 5 years ago, I, 31, met my girlfriend Karen, 29. It was a bit of a tough time for her back then because she had just left her abusive boyfriend. To make things better, she moved back in with her parents along with her little child. You see, Karen had to drop out of college during her senior year because her ex-boyfriend got her pregnant. It was a really rough situation since he was not only cheating on her but also physically abusive. Eventually, she mustered the courage to leave him, and that's when our paths crossed. It's a bit of a funny story, actually. Angie, one of Karen's sorority sisters, ended up marrying my friend Dave. And through this connection, Angie introduced me to Karen. We hit it off right away and started dating. Before long, Karen and her son Bobby moved in with me, and those initial years together were pretty awesome. The first few years were great. I got her to go back and finish her degree, and my dad got her a job where he works. Around a year and a half back, Karen reconnected with some of her sorority sisters, and they started having girls' night out every other Saturday. She also began having drinks with her coworkers after work occasionally. When I brought up my concerns about this, she became defensive, and it led to arguments between us. Angie told her husband Dave that Karen was flirting a lot when they were out, to the point it started to bother her, and Dave gave me a heads up about it. Karen apologized, admitting that she had too much to drink and got carried away. However, I felt that wasn't enough to resolve the issue. I told her that if we were going to continue our relationship, we needed to attend counseling together and work through these problems. Obviously, the girls' night out was over for a while and we made progress and things got better. Around 2 months back, I noticed some odd behavior from Karen that raised suspicions. She became overly protective of her phone, leaving the room whenever she used it, and acting paranoid. When I tried to talk to her about it, she evaded the conversation and insisted that nothing was wrong. Feeling troubled by this, I decided to confide in our mutual friends, Angie and Dave, about my concerns. Finally, Angie revealed that Karen had been in touch with an ex-boyfriend from her college days. It was a shocking revelation. This particular ex was the guy she dated before her abusive ex-boyfriend. Navigating through this situation has been tough, but knowing the extent of the involvement has brought some clarity to the issue. So, one of Karen's sorority sisters asked her to be a bridesmaid at her wedding, which was a big deal for both of us. We had everything planned out to attend the 3-day event together. However, things took an unexpected turn when Bobby developed an ear condition and needed to have tubes installed. It meant he couldn't fly, so I volunteered to stay back and take care of him while Karen went to the wedding. Throughout the event, I was back home with Bobby, making sure he was okay while Karen attended the rehearsal dinner, bachelorette party, shower, and the main wedding day. Then, things took a shocking turn when Dave, Karen's friend and Angie's husband, called me. He told me that Karen's old boyfriend had shown up at the wedding, and the two of them were hanging out and acting inappropriately. To my disbelief, he even sent me some photos, including a short video of them making out at the hotel. It was an incredibly tough situation to deal with, especially since I was at home taking care of Bobby while this was happening. The whole ordeal left me feeling hurt and betrayed, and it's something we've been trying to work through ever since. I reached out to Karen's father and asked if he could watch Bobby so that I could make the long drive down to attend the wedding. On my way out of town, I dropped Bobby off with him and took off on the 6-hour journey. It was quite a tiring drive, and I finally arrived late in the evening. When I got to Karen's room at the wedding venue, I could hear laughter coming from inside. I knocked on the door, but it took 3 attempts before Karen finally opened it. To my shock, she was wearing a robe, and there was a guy naked in her bed. I introduced myself to him and suggested he leave the room immediately. Then, I turned to Karen, who was undressed beneath her robe, and demanded an explanation. Initially, Karen got angry and started making excuses. She even went as far as making unfounded accusations. I reached a breaking point and firmly declared that I had enough. I told her that our relationship was over. I announced my decision to leave, emphasizing that if she wanted to come back, she would need to gather her things and leave my life. As I walked back into the hallway, I realized that there were about a dozen people present, including Angie. It dawned on me that we hadn't closed the door to the room, and our heated exchange must have provided quite a spectacle for everyone around us. I drove back home and arrived just as the sun was rising. I was exhausted, so I crashed and slept hard. The next morning, I started packing up all of Karen's belongings. When I came across her lingerie drawer in the party and club where we had bought together, I decided to put those items in a separate box, along with some other things, and donated them to Goodwill. A few days later, Karen's flight returned, and she tried to call me from the airport, but her number was still blocked. As a result, she had to Uber back to our place. When she walked in, she was met with over a dozen boxes filled with all of her and Bobby's belongings, ready to go. I informed her that Bobby was already at her parents' house, and she could call her dad to help her move the rest of her stuff to wherever she planned on staying. Despite her attempts to talk her way out of the situation and load her suitcases into the car, I stood firm. Both cars were in my name, so I let her know that if she tried to take one of them, I would report it as stolen. Eventually, her dad arrived, and I explained briefly why we were breaking up, although he didn't say much. We shook hands before he left. The breakup was tough, but I knew it was the right decision for both of us. It's been a week since all that happened. Since then, Dave and Angie have decided to cut contact with Karen because our drama overshadowed their wedding ceremony the next day. Despite everything, Karen has been trying to reach out, and we've talked a few times. However, I've made it clear that there's no way for us to get back together.